I hate LA, love me anyway, an environmental activist and human rights advocate podcast here for the Los Angeles area. Once again, I am discussing how I was assaulted by a Latino man at the East LA train station and how the metro of Los Angeles did not have enough sheriffs to police the area, nor did they have a functional button for me to call for help because I use an Apple iPhone. Now, my Apple iPhone can surf the internet, it can connect me to TikTok, it can connect me to Reddit, connect me to X, but for some reason it could not connect me to the police when I'm trying to reach them about being assaulted, being threatened. And that seems to be a recurring thing that happens here. When I try to use my Apple iPhone, it automatically loses the mobile network, so I'm unable to call for help. Curious thing now. Takes less power to dial 911 than to surf the internet or listen to music streaming. But for some reason, an Apple iPhone cannot do that. Welcome to the chat. I'm Ian Ileana. I'm an environmental activist. I talk about issues like change.org/clear LA smog. It is one of my initiatives I hope to see enacted into law here in California to reduce pollution by outlawing all of the current construction materials that we're using right now, which are not utilizing recycled materials and also not durable enough for the cars that have to pass on top of it. If your road makes your cars worse, so therefore you pollute more because your exhaust is broken after going through a pothole, then perhaps you should change those roads. So change.org/clear LA smog. I'm writing LA Metro. I don't even know where to begin. I shouldn't have to continually ride the LA Metro with no option in mind, but I still have yet to see a lawyer. I still have yet to see the federal building because I believe I called the FBI several times about incidents like targeted hate crimes. Hi Jax, nice to meet you. Welcome to the chat. My name is Ian Ileana. I am a musician and normally I would have a sing-along or some sort of happy event even through the misery which is life in Los Angeles. Hi Aviation, thank you for the love and the support, and please go to school and absorb everything you can. An educated person has options, never forget that. The value of an American education is that you should always be educated. It never stops when you leave school, it should always continue. How many kids today are failing things like math, failing things like earth science because their parents don't help them with their homework? I'm from Los Angeles, I live here. And welcome 24/7P. Welcome to the chat, welcome everyone. My name is Ian Ileana. Normally I have a sing-along and I know it's like super early and like I don't want to disturb people with like loud singing, but there's a kid screaming in the background, so I can't be louder than him, but maybe I could sing something. So I was in the hospital waiting on news about a possible brain bleed after being assaulted by a Latino at the East LA community centre on the train station platform. So I'm waiting for news about the CT exam, and I look to the news and it tells me once again that Disney/Hulu has gobbled up yet another LGBTQ iconic television show. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is back on Hulu. I know, it's not exactly earth-shattering news for some people, but for me, I mean, that's amazing. That's every reason to maybe rejoin Disney once I can afford it again. It's been a very expensive couple of days here, not being able to afford enough food and water because I am locked out of my apartment. But when I heard that, I said, finally, people are going to be able to see Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They're going to be able to see Sarah Michelle Gellar. They're going to be able to see David Boreanaz and James Marsters, Nicholas Brendan. They're going to see Alison Hannigan. They're going to see all my favorite people. Charisma Carpenter. I cannot list enough.
Connection to Metro D line. Be sure to tap your card at the fare box or validator to pay. If you do not have a validated tap card, you may be subject to penalties.
So many people who shaped and transformed my life. I thought I was an ordinary teenager, then I saw Buffy. And then I realized these are issues that they're able to use things like monsters and excellent writing to showcase the strength and resilience of character that you need in order to get through just trying to be a decent person in life. I've always appreciated that show. I always recommend it to people. It's more than a fantasy show. It's a capsule in time where things like female power meant something. The last season that they had, they started talking about real issues. The patriarchy that we have, of women being silenced when they're trying to be outspoken leaders for their community, guardians for this community. That's an important thing for people to hear, for people to see. So I'm extremely grateful that Disney/Hulu put Buffy the Vampire Slayer back on the air, so to speak. I mean, you'll still use your TV remote. It's Hulu. If you want Buffy, it's there. And I guess that's the level of good news right now. I don't have much. Besides the fact that I'm not bleeding within the head after being assaulted by a Latino East LA yesterday around 9 o'clock. But I have to do this podcast. I have to keep talking about real issues because we get caught up in our minutiae. We get caught up in
connection to Metro D line.
A bunch of people representing us, but they're not following through on protecting their constituents. We have Governor Gavin Newsom, we have Mayor Karen Bass, but what are they doing about these forest fires? What are they doing about the pollution that we have here? I normally take readings of the AQI, and sometimes it's 30, but during these forest fires it was maybe 100, 200 in certain areas. It was very unhealthy air. It's unhealthy air because there's smoke from forest fires, but it's also unhealthy because we had smog here already. And that smog was being weeded down by smoke from 10,000 acres being set on fire. And I will never stop talking about the environmental impact of the forest fires that goes beyond the human losses here. Human losses here are expensive, and the value of human life is always paramount to me. Could we also say, just like when we say Black Lives Matter, everyone's life matters? Well, everything that has life matters too. Those birds and animals that called those forests home were left in a position where they were burned alive. These are creatures that, for the most part, had no concept of fire, no language for it. They did not understand what was going on, but somehow their instinct, told them to run, and sometimes that wasn't enough. I see the EPA posting on Facebook about how they're removing hazardous material after the forest fire. Thank you, because it needed to be done. But also no thank you, because where was this impetus, this drive to make things better for Americans, specifically Californians, before everything was set on fire? Because before it was set on fire, we could have done something. We could have spoken to our politicians, we could have spoken to our local fire department, we could have told them, hey, do you need any assistance? Do you need someone to recheck your equipment? Because if you have a major fire and your equipment is in any way damaged or lacking, it will impact your safety and the safety of the people that you're trying to protect. But most people don't think that way. Most people, they look at the phone and they look at things like 911 and say the people on the other side, they're just machines. They're just avoid it as much as possible because of how psychologically damaging it is right now. I am super stressed because I have a stressor nearby that reminds me of my PTSD, but I can't do anything about it because I'm in a public space, and therefore personal choice is somewhat diminished when your option is
report any issues by using the LA Metro Transit Watch app. If you see something, say something.
But safety should always be guaranteed freedom. You have the right to travel about your city without being assaulted, especially
Wilshire and Cloverdale.
Especially for the transgender community. I was assaulted, called derogatory things by a Latino at East LA. I posted a picture of the individual on X and also gave the photo to the police, so hopefully they can find this person and I can see them in court over what happened to me. I haven't been able to see Master Sergeant Miranda in court because the Air Force did not do a proper investigation after they sexually abused me and then sent me to the hospital after being sexually abused. And ever since, I've had difficulty in and out of homeless shelters, unable to find work. But I don't give up. It may feel hopeless, it may feel like it's the worst day of my life, but there are always people who have it worse than me. And I don't know, there is something to being brave enough to speak about what's going on in the world and not ignore it. When you talk about things, they sometimes lose their power. And PTSD is a huge thing, but not enough people talk about it, so I will. I'm very vocal about how much it has affected me. And I can't sleep normally, I can't do any things that I normally do. I used to be able to go outside and that just can't happen. And now with the second assault by the Latino community, And I have to speak about that because here's a community that says, no, we're Latinx. We're Latinx now. We're not Latinos, we're Latinx. But only Latinos are either groping me or assaulting me. No other group really seems to be doing that. When I was in Long Beach, some old woman tried to grab my crotch right next to a VA hall where I was going to give a speech about what was going on with the level of veteran care here in the Los Angeles County. That was a Latina woman who probably grew up with common sense, with family that taught her right and wrong, but she thought it was appropriate to grab my crotch because I wasn't talking to her. And then I was assaulted Pico and Aliso, called a fag there. There seems to be a pattern. There seems to be a pattern of that particular community and this idea of machismo, this idea of masculinity, which, I don't know, doesn't really support the community quite as much. For isn't it the women and the transgender who go to the rallies for Latino causes? Isn't it the women and transgender community who take their precious time to speak to politicians on behalf of Latino causes? I think that's the case. While the men are chasing tail and beating up females and transgender, it's the females and transgender of the Latino community that are protecting the human rights of Latinos. So today, after being assaulted, I'm gonna hold a giant mirror up to the Latinx community. Was that a publicity stunt, or are you ready to accept the entire rainbow back into your lives, back into your hearts? Because as hurt as I am, I'm never going to stop caring. As hurt as I am by the Latinx community for being assaulted twice by the Latinx community, I'm still going to fight for their rights to operate businesses and not be price gouged. Change.org/the new Avocado Act. I have an initiative on Change.org where Latinx restaurant owners can speak to me about things like solar opportunities for their business. Did you know that a Latinx restaurant owner spends a very large amount of money for electricity that they could get for free after a one-time purchase of a solar panel and a solar battery? Once you have a solar ecosystem for your business, you cut off the electric company from price gouging you. Say your employees use the plugs and the outlets to charge their cell phone. That costs you money. If you have televisions or you have music playing in the background, that costs you electricity, which therefore costs you money. So change.org/the new Avocado Act. Small things that this entire county could do in order to save money and improve the quality of life for everyone. The new Avocado Act means you save on electricity, but you can spend that money elsewhere. You can spend that money on signage, you can spend it on maintaining the employees that you have, making sure that they're well paid. You can make sure that you have your restaurant at optimal levels.
Approaching Wilshire.
You can do amazing things when you use renewable energy. My name is Ian Iliana. This is I Hate LA, Love Me Anyway, an environmental podcast where I discuss small makeover challenges that I hand out to the County of Los Angeles to make their lives that much easier. I am a victim of military sexual trauma, and recently an assault by a Latino gentleman at the East LA train station. But more than my own trauma, Los Angeles is hurting. Los Angeles is hurting because of the forest fires that continue to happen here. I've tried to reach out with my deaf music videos on X. You can follow me on X. My name is Daddy. And thank you for coming into the chat. Welcome, people. Every single time I do a deaf music video to promote my music, I also use that as an opportunity to ask Karen Bass and ask Gavin Newsom, do you have 2 minutes to talk about the environment? I don't think it's unreasonable for an elected official to take a very, very good idea, such as using the recycled materials that we have just sitting around doing nothing in landfills, and put them to good use. You have a Coca-Cola bottle just right there sitting in a junk pile. What if that was turned into fiberglass, made stronger, so that a car could go on top of it, and even so had a somewhat porous layer, so this way we could have a vacuum running underneath the road that does what? Oh, that's right, sucks that car exhaust down instead of allowing it to escape up into our air. See, we breathe oxygen. I know some of us vape, some of us smoke, so it may seem like oxygen isn't important. It's important. It's important for developing lungs. Our children are being affected by this level of smog and pollution. Who speaks for them? Because their parents have to spend all their time either working or in hospitals trying to figure out what they can do to save their kids' lives. If you want to save your kid's life, you have to start talking to your politicians about environmental issues. You have to start talking about car exhaust and fires that happen in your county. You can't just do a benefit concert, throw some money at it, and then say, we solved it. No, that's not a mission accomplished. That's a start mission. You know, it's just the beginning. These forest fires, they're only going to get worse until Los Angeles is a desert of unbreathable air. And who does that benefit? It benefits major corporations who are going to profit off your misery, profit off of your declining health. And health in America is an important issue. It's an important issue to me. So here I am trying to reach out to as many people as possible, because the issue of public health, the issue of environmental activism and environmental justice goes far beyond the city of Los Angeles. It goes to be a global issue. I said Los Angeles, but it could have easily been New York. It could have been easily been Lisbon or London or Glasgow. It could have been anywhere. Not specifically the forest fire, but the environmental impact of not seeking a better harmony with the nature that's around you. We keep trying to chop down these forests and push back the woods, push out the wildlife that normally have it as a habitat. But that affects our health. It affects our health physically, and it affects our health mentally. We need to have trees, we need to have wildlife, Hearing things like birdsong does something to you. There's a reason why humans love music. We love the sound of nature and its freedom. So why not respect that by not burning down the forests, by doing everything we can to reduce pollution? I'm just a disabled American veteran with PTSD from military sexual trauma who's now transgender, but I think I have a point that you could have more out of life. You could have a higher quality of life if you did the bare minimum. Just change the roads. Change.org/clear LA smoke. If you sign my petition, I can speak to contractors and say, you don't have to use asphalt anymore. Here, let me show you some fiberglass blueprints that you can use instead in order to reduce the pollution here. Let me show you a road that can last 10 years without being repaired. Let me show you a road that actually makes it healthier for you to be a pedestrian walking alongside.
If you see something, say something.
Su seguridad es nuestra primera prioridad. Infórmenos de cualquier problema.
This is what I want. I want a better city. I mean, Los Angeles as it is now is dysfunctional, and some people like that. Some people talk about New York and in all of its dysfunction and say that's just the character of the city. Well, being this close to the SAG-AFTRA office, I can tell you a lot about characters, but Los Angeles burning down its own forests and then throwing a party sounds more like a villain than the hero of America. Los Angeles is supposed to be a bastion of freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of expression. People love to come to Los Angeles Gay Pride here. But where is that pride when it comes to dealing with transgender hate crimes? Where is that pride when it comes to dealing with the chemical warfare, which is pollution against those who are poor or those who have developing lungs, like children? Seems to me Los Angeles needs more heroes, needs more people to take up a podcast and to start speaking to people. I was just assaulted. I am angry, but anger is a useless emotion. What's useful is a calm, collected head.
Approaching Wilshire and Redford.
Seeing reason. The strength of character that you have is often tested, but you know who you are inside. You know right from wrong. You know that it is wrong to pollute the environment. You know that it's wrong to set fire to the homes of birds and animals that live in forests. And you know it's wrong to assault the LGBTQIA, who are just people on a bus or a train. I want to thank the people who keep coming into my chat. Please subscribe to my channel. As I said, yesterday I was going to do a sing-along, try and uplift other people's spirits, but I had to go to the hospital after being assaulted by a Latino in East LA. I will see if I'm up to doing it maybe next week, but I have to speak to my lawyer, I have to speak to the federal building, because I am a veteran clearly being abused by the American government. This was a targeted attack. And that saddens me, because if you have the energy to coordinate attacks, coordinate things like locking me outside my apartment, so I have to go outside, I have to stress myself out, I have to go to the hospital.
Stop requested.
Then you also have the energy to just click a button that says, I sign the petition change.org/clear-LA-small to reduce pollution here in the county of Los Angeles. I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I need rest. I need to take a break from being a superhero. But once you're a superhero, you're always a superhero. And crime doesn't sleep, so why should the heroes? I'm going to continue to fight. I don't care what Los Angeles throws at me. You people are monsters for burning down forests. You are monsters for assaulting the LGBTQ. So I'm going to be a magnanimous, gracious soul and clear the smog with change.org/clear-LA-smog. I'm going to give you health for your rage, for your misspent rage of your lot in life that you take it out on me for being transgender. I'm going to give you health. Since I like to leave podcasts with a positive, uplifting message, I am Ian Iliana, and this is the I Hate LA, Love Me Anyway, an environmental podcast. Thank you for coming in, thank you for listening, and I hope that you subscribe, because we need people like you to feel inspired to make a podcast of your own once you're ready. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.